Hey, what's up, worship teams? What's going on? Brandon Dempsey here, worshipteamtraining.com and also Worship Team Training University, and glad that you guys are here. We got good friend here, Casey Corum from Vineyard Worship, and we're just going to bring him in a little bit there closer. We are doing what we call our Brown Bag Music Special that occurs once a month on a Wednesday. We'll have a music guest like Casey and various artists. So this is here for you. If this is the first time that you're watching, we say what's up. Thanks for joining us and welcome. My name is Brandon Dempsey. I'm a follower of Jesus and founder and CEO of worshipteamtraining.com. And what do we do? Exactly this. We train and help worship leaders and teams just like you, interactive training that comes to you. And we do this in the form of workshops on a Friday and Saturday. We have mentoring, and we have our Worship Team Training University online membership, which we'll be talking about later on, and how you can get access into a 7-day free VIP pass. So you want to be up for that. Michelle's going to be hitting us with some links. And we got some great friends. Sarah, what's up? Good to see you on Instagram. All of our other friends right now on Facebook. Thanks for dialing in. Also, friends from Casey coming in too. So that's pretty cool. We're going to get to Casey in a second. And we just want to say thank you guys. We are going to be doing a few things like this on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So just heads up, all of our members and worship team training friends and leaders, we will be changing our show times weekly to now Wednesdays at 12 p.m. and instead of Tuesdays, and then also Thursdays for members at 12 p.m. as well, with the inclusion of our regular webinars and brown bag special like this. So let's get right to it. Casey Corum, so what does it mean? We're going to talk about we're going to talk about Vineyard Soul. And what does that mean? New album coming out. Casey Corum, songwriter, worship leader, record producer, a creative catalyst in the greater Los Angeles area. He's been best known for his work with Vineyard Music and served as chief creative officer for over 10 years. Casey's songs have been sung throughout churches all over the world. Some of his best known songs include Dwell, Form Us, No Longer Strangers, You Have Set Me Free. He travels extensively with other artists and churches, creative leaders, as he's now living in LA and the Fullerton area exactly, and that's actually one of my homes, going to school out there too, so that's a lot of fun. And he's married to his high school sweetheart Angie. They got 4, count 'em, daughters. I can't even comprehend after 2, okay? That's just me. But Casey and I have been good friends for a long number of years, like going back to 2003, 2, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so it's great to have him. Without further ado, everybody, please welcome Casey Corum. How are you, Casey?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here with you.
Great, man. Hey, thanks for coming. We love you. You doing all right today?
Doing well.
That's awesome.
It's let's see, it's in the mid 70s, and it's the middle of August.
Yeah,
so
I know. Rub it
can't
in.
complain.
Rub it in. You've been here before in Texas, Houston, so you know exactly.
Oh, yeah, I was just there.
Am I right? Am I right, Kim? Exactly, you know what's going on. So, all right, so I'm excited because you came out with a brand new album just this past Friday, and this is Vineyard Soul, Generous God. And it's on iTunes and Amazon. You guys can find it there. We're going to put up a link pretty soon. Tell us about the album. Tell us also, first of all, what you've been up to. What have you been doing lately?
Well, my family and I moved back to California about 5 years ago. And part of our journey back, I say back to California because we basically started on the West Coast, kind of coming back home closer to family. Mm-hmm. And it's been quite a journey, especially I think the last time we saw each other, I was almost 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 years, I've had a major transformation on many levels. I felt like the Lord gave me a word to some degree for the last 5 years, and that word was unburdened, and just an unburdening. And
wow.
What I didn't realize kind of in the middle of that was it was actually be a physical unburdening as well. So like literally 100 pounds lighter. So.
And that is awesome, dude. That's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, thanks. It's been an interesting journey, and it's been a creative just a creative renaissance for me at some level in the last 5 years. Just I think as we kind of move through our life, trying to reset our focus, and sometimes I think in our culture we it's really easy to keep adding things to our life.
Right.
And the last 5 years for me has been a little bit of the reverse. It's been like I said, an unburdening. I have a general, if you look at my Instagram, saying or whatever they call that thing, bio.
Right.
I learned something about myself that life is improv comedy. There's a basic understanding in improv comedy that every scenario you're presented with, you say yes. So that is kind of my default life position is to say yes to things. So sometimes it's a challenge to not continue to say yes to things. So that's been a little bit of the journey I've been on. Just trying to prioritize as we move into new chapters I found myself without a job at the beginning of the year, which was a surprise to me. So new chapters. So part of this new chapter for me is really kind of an old chapter. I think I was basically presented with an opportunity to walk into more of the things that I really felt like the Lord was calling me towards. And some of it is a return to things, doing a little bit more traveling and kind of specific creative work studio-wise and leading worship and writing songs and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So, I think it's been the losing my job was a surprise, but it's kind of launched me into this whole new thing in the last 6 months. And it's been, I'm saying yes a lot more. So maybe we'll do this better this time around.
Well, what we'll do is we'll do more together.
Yeah, there you go.
This time around. Because we're talking and we're doing, I mean, there's some awesome things that, a lot of stories. I mean, just a lot of great ministry stuff. I remember meeting both you and Jason the first time at Vineyard Studios, and I can't remember, I think it was either Stan Endicott or I forgot who. So somebody introduced us, and I just remember sitting back and just going, wow, these are guys that are actually doing the missional work in the church. And that's what really resonated with me, caught my attention. So can you kind of, give us a little backdrop? I mean, you're going to be playing some songs off your album. Can you give us a backdrop of how did the album take shape? What was the beginning writing process of that?
Yeah, well, there's been an ongoing conversation in the whole of the church, but specifically in Vineyard churches around multi-ethnic ministry. The Vineyard is as a movement that's a worldwide movement with a pretty healthy missional aspect. Our main mission work in the world is to plant indigenous churches. So there's a big value in Vineyard churches to express the local voice. Yeah. So one of the dialogues we've been specifically in the last probably 10 to 15 years in the Vineyard is what does that look like as our movement gets more diverse, certainly as the country is diversifying. There's obviously the language issues of, we've got a very healthy creative community that sing and write songs in Spanish. Actually, one of our flagship churches there in the U.S. is in Houston. Yeah. So that's one thing, the multilingual aspect. But then there's also, as we can, as musicians, we know that there's a whole other layer of different expressions of music and melodic sensibilities and even complexity and chords. This whole modern worship movement that Vineyard was part of the very beginning of is kind of based around, the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. Right. Which, to be fair, that's pop music. It's not just, we're not just phoning it in from the worship side of things. Exactly. That's kind of the way that's the way popular music works. But obviously, other traditions and other ethnicities like favor different chordal choices or melodic directions. So that's been a dance, as especially a movement like the Vineyard that's been around as long as it has, figures out how to broaden its expression. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, I've been a part of this group really trying to catalyze and gather voices, both African American voices and other Latin and Asian and fill in the blank, Caucasian as myself included. Just around this idea of soul is we're using soul in this particular collective in a more general sense. There is some aspects of soul, but it's roots in terms of like what are we shooting at? We're shooting at congregational worship. It's really no different.
Right.
And if we think about what modern gospel is, that's really more of a target for us. And just to get into the genre weeds for a second, modern gospel would live somewhere between gospel and modern worship. So many times in the modern gospel world, you'll if you strip away the vocal arrangements, you wouldn't be able to tell automatically. Sometimes you can, but you wouldn't be able to tell automatically just from the music beds really the difference between modern worship and modern gospel.
Right.
There's a little bit of chord substitution, and there's a little bit of extra groove, one might say. So so it's been a super fun journey. I worked primarily with my co-producer and co-collaborator, a guy from Chicago area named Gino Allison, who's an African-American vineyard pastor and an amazing gospel drummer. And this is actually record number 2 down the Vineyard Soul direction.
I get it.
So I'll actually end up playing, if we have time for a couple songs, I'll play you one from the latest record and one from the previous record.
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear it. That's what we came to hear.
Okay, cool. This song is called We Are Hungry. We Are Hungry has an interesting backstory in we do these worship leader retreats a couple times a year. And we just launched one in 2017 in Southern California. And we were in the opening night of worship, and there was this really heavy sense of the presence of the Lord, and a great worship leader, songwriter friend of mine named Annabeth Morgan from the Denver area just started to sing this refrain, "We are hungry."
Wow.
We are hungry. And it just kind of came to life.
That's awesome.
We've never really had this happen at one of our retreats. So she's singing this.
Yeah.
Long time, vineyard songwriter, veteran, capital WL worship leader David Roos.
Yes.
Comes up and whispers another line.
Wow.
While she's singing.
That's great.
Come and feed us, come and feed us. So she starts singing that.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
I'm playing keys on the whole thing. I start twisting the chords around, and through the course of the retreat, we end up doing the song a bunch of times, and it sort of writes itself.
Wow. Yeah.
In the context of these worship stuff. So So crazy.
That's great.
That's one of the crazy stories, but
love it.
So
love it.
Here it is.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh Lord. We are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh Lord. Our daily bread, our living water. We can't survive without you. Our daily bread, our living water. We're reaching out for. Come and feed us. Come and feed us. Oh Lord. Come and feed us. Come and feed us. Come and feed us. Oh our daily bread, our living water. We can't survive without you, Lord. Our daily bread, our living water. We're reaching out for something more. Our daily bread, our living water. We can't survive without you, Lord. Our daily bread, our living water. We're reaching out for something more. Yeah. We are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh, Lord. We are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh, nobody like you, my Jesus. Nobody like you. Nobody like you, my Jesus. Nobody like you. Nobody like you, my Jesus. Nobody like you. Oh, nobody like you, my Jesus. Nobody like you. Oh, yeah. Our daily bread, our living water. We can't survive without you, Lord. Our daily bread, our living water. We're reaching out for something more. Yeah. We are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh, we are hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry. Oh, Lord.
Wow. Dude, I love that. That was just, I mean, that was just soulful. I mean, just like down to the roots, man. You know, it's simple, easy to sing, easy to follow. We got Sarah. Thanks so much for your comments. She loves it. And our Facebook friends are loving that. I mean, wow. You know, you can hear almost every adversity, every war out of that song. I mean, it's so applicable. What's that mean for you when you sing it?
Well, it's really got an earthiness to it. Like like I think part of it, like the melody, which is twisted and turned a little bit, but kind of being born in that live environment just sort of does something sometimes. Like there's that immediate feedback loop when you're kind of working through something spontaneous like that, where you just sort of like ride what the Lord is doing and what the people are feeling in the moment. So that, I think it kind of carries that real emotion. That theme of hunger is, for me, it's a super important theme, I think, in my own life, but then we've been thinking a lot about the roots of modern worship,
Yeah.
and in our own story. The Vineyard story kind of goes back to a group of folks in Yorba Linda, California. And, as you kind of fast forward to today,
Yeah.
You can kind of look back and sort of sort out what the values are or what you think is
Yeah.
important and that kind of stuff. But the initial seed, and I think this is true of everybody as we find our way into worship, what I realized when I heard their story kind of with fresh ears a couple years ago, and then just tracing it into my own life, is that hunger is really the soil that worship grows out of. It's so for me it was almost like a condition of heart that starts the whole journey. So just as I've been kind of meditating on that idea of hunger, we've been discussing that just with groups of friends of mine. That's just
Love that.
it's such a kind of foundational place that I think our worship really grows out of. So so I think there's a longing and so I'm really connected
Wow.
with it. I think it's super relevant to my life for sure. And then of course the birthplace of this song was really, when people gather in those retreat settings, many times people are just like, I need to meet with God and I've got stuff going on and I need a breakthrough or I'm done. So I think the song carries a lot of that longing, that desperation.
I love that. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, you can feel it. You can feel the hunger, and the minor chords, the modern minor chord progression, if you want to say it that way. But I mean, it works, and you can hear the R&B in it. It's so easy. It just moves. And wow, you put that together with, you can do an acoustic set, hard rock set, whatever. No loops. No loops, you don't need it. I mean, it's just the way it is. Love it. I love it. Tell us about your second song. What's the story behind it? The name?
Okay. The second song is I don't think it's exactly the opposite. It's definitely more hopeful. I don't think the other one's not hopeful. It's just this other one's coming at it from a different angle. This song's called "You Have Set Me Free," which is the final song on the previous Vineyard Soul record from a year ago, and really just trying to borrow from gospel traditions. This one's got a few extra chords for guitar players on it, so
Awesome.
So good luck.
Thank you.
It's still very accessible on guitar, but one of the hallmarks, I think, of well-known gospel songs is a hook that stands up to a lot of repetition. You could kind of say that about "We Are Hungry" as well. So
Right.
So this song I'm trying to say some really important things in a very short amount of words. And then also with the mind, some of the stuff we've been working on in this gospel, this Vineyard Soul space is definitely challenging for your average, dare I say, white worship band.
Correct.
But then there's other things like these two songs I'm playing now that stand up to an acoustic. Like "We Are Hungry" is 4 chords in a circle, and "You Have Set Me Free's got a little bit more to it than that, but it's still very approachable if you're used to playing kind of guitar-driven stuff. So,
Sure.
So it's a very fun up-tempo gospel tune, and that's the bones of it.
All right.
I will say one thing real quick if I can.
Yeah.
The church I was at most recently was Vineyard Anaheim, which of course is Vineyard people, we call it the mothership. So little joke.
Yeah.
But it's got this giant sanctuary, seats like 3,500 people. So which is such a big room that during the week no one uses it.
Yeah.
It's too big. It's just too big.
Right.
So and on the stage is a grand piano. So
Wow.
the interesting thing is it became kind of like my private writing space.
Cool.
And then something that I personally was unpacking from just spending time in that room was there's a Celtic Christian concept called of thin places, where the veil between heaven and earth are a little thinner. I'll get to the song soon, Brandon. Just a second.
Don't worry, man. Go for it.
Shouldn't have if I talk to
No,
you.
you're fine.
Anyway, just thinking about that room in particular, which is home to all kinds of conferences and all kinds of things through the years, and just the amount of songs that have been launched from that place. Even some of the big modern worship anthems had some of their initial birthing, like "Did You Feel the Mountain?" Comes with some of the Delirious songs.
Right.
Matt Redman's led worship from that stage.
Right.
Let alone all the Vineyard stuff through the years.
Right.
And then I'm sitting up there writing songs in that same environment, and there's just some crazy, interesting, just history and Holy Spirit mojo. Is that a,
Right.
is that a thing?
Yeah.
Well, is that
It works for yeah, it works.
Anyway, so this was one of the songs that I put together, just sitting at that piano in that giant room where so many people have met with God through the years. So
Awesome.
okay, you ready?
Do it.
Here we go. You've broken off every chain. You have set me free. You lifted my heavy weight. You have set me free. You've broken off every chain. You have set me free. You lifted my heavy weight. You have set me free. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You have set me free. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You have set me free. You opened my prison door. You have set me free.
Yes.
My sins will hold me no more. You have set me free. You opened my prison door. You have set me free. My sin will hold me no more. You have set me free. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You have set me free. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You have set me free. You set me free. Oh, you have set me free. You set me free. Oh, you have set me free.
Yes. Golly. I didn't want that to end.
Well, live, it's got you just kind of go. So
Yeah. Gosh, that's great. That's great.
Great.
How do you top that? I mean, I just love the chords that you did. I mean, that's like it brings me back. It's kind of like more the it's got the Orange County vibe to it. It's got that.
All right.
I love it. It's just got a great groove, but the lyrics. I mean, so talk about where can people find the album, because I mean everyone, they've been listening to it, they've been loving it. Go.
Well, it's available basically everywhere you find digital music. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify, Apple Music. vineyardworship.com. You can buy direct from there as well. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. As well as some of these gospel things take a little bit of musical energy. So there's some tutorials around numbers of these songs, and the new record's just coming out. So we're that's one thing that I've been about for the longest time is, and just tagging into worship team training is, it's one thing to play through a bunch of fancy licks and in this instance chords that you're trying to chew through are keys like F sharp.
I heard it and I was like, ooh, yeah, you know.
Yeah, just some ways to unpack some of the. So there's tutorial resources and that sort of thing as well. So but yeah, basically everywhere music's available. Vineyard a lot of times sort of downplays the artist per se. So so you can find it under Vineyard Worship's main Spotify, main Apple Music, iTunes. This one actually, I was looking earlier. This one got slotted under the. It's being promoted right now on the Christian iTunes, but it got slotted as an R&B soul.
Oh.
Record. So I looked at it as which is fine.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came out of it is a lifelong, you might be able to tell this, musical influence of mine is Prince.
Oh yeah.
So this morning, it was right below a Prince record on the R&B soul chart.
Did you screenshot it?
Like, I have arrived. I have arrived.
Did you screenshot it?
I absolutely screenshot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be foolish not to. That's amazing. That's great. So yeah, and what I want to know is, can we offer some of the tutorials that you have on the songs on our site?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's what we want to do. I just want to invite you guys up to what we're doing here. Again, this is Worship Team Training University. So for those of you who already know, worshipteamtraining.com, we now have a university site. We've been up for a year now. It's I think it's coming close to our birthday. Well, kind of. But anyway, we offer tutorials like this. So guitar, keyboard, but not just that, but also worship leading, mentoring, devotionals, downloads, music, unlimited webinars, everything. And the reason why we're having our good friend Casey on here is because, this is all about equipping the saints for the work of ministry. It's about the gospel and singing the gospel to nations who need to hear the word of God, and for our brothers and sisters in the church who need to be worshiping, who need to develop a life of worship daily. And so I believe full-heartedly in what Casey's doing. Vineyard Music, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, Vineyard Music has been one of our largest supporters here at worshipteamtraining.com. With the books that we have and the lessons that we teach and the weekend workshops we do have all been stemmed from using their music and their backbone and support. And so we're happy to partner with them and to continue the relationship and do greater things. So this is what we're doing. Instagram, as you're watching right now, Facebook Live, you see on the very bottom in the comments, join us for a special VIP free guest pass. You can try 7 days for free at WTTU. All you need to do is go up and sign WTTU.co/FTR. So that's like F as in Frank, T as in Thomas, R as in Robert, FTR. For those of you guys listening on playback, thank you, audio, iTunes and iHeartRadio. Please do the same thing. So you can find, we're going to put more Casey stuff up there, more Vineyard Music stuff, special instruction videos for voice, also for piano and guitar. You don't want to miss it. So if you are a growing worship leader or a growing worship leader team, you need to get yourself involved with Worship Team Training University. So, Casey, can we have one more song to kind of close us out?
Sure. Let's see.
Put him on the spot. I only said 2 songs, and now
I'll make one up. No.
But here we go. We need a theme song, actually.
So here's another song that's on the new record. This is called "We Say Yes," which a quick little thing is I think saying yes to the Lord, other than yes being my default position in life, I think saying yes, Lord, is kind of the simplest definition I know of what it means to worship. So that's where this song comes from.
Cool.
Come and meet us. Come and meet us. Oh Lord. Come and meet us. Come and meet us. Oh Lord. We belong to you. We belong to you. Oh Lord, our God, we belong to you. We belong to you. Oh Lord, our God, come and lead us. Come and lead us. Oh Lord, come and lead us. Come and lead us. Oh Lord, we respond to you. We respond to you. Oh Lord, our God, we respond to you. We respond to you. Oh Lord, our God, we respond to you. We respond to you. Oh Lord, our God, we respond to you. We respond to you. Oh Lord, our God, we say yes, yes. Give to you our yes. We say yes, yes. We give to you our yes. Oh Lord, we say yes, yes. We give to you our yes. Oh, we say yes, yes. We give to you our yes. We will follow where you lead us. We will follow, giving our yes. We will follow where you lead us. We will follow you. Yeah, we will follow where you lead us. We will follow, giving our yes. We will follow where you lead us. We will follow you. We say yes, yes. Give to you our yes. We say yes. We say yes. We say yes. We give to you our yes. Oh Lord, we say yes. Yes. We give to you our yes. We say yes, yes. We give to you our yes. Come and meet us. Come and meet us. Oh Lord.
Wow. Amazing, dude. Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow, love it. Guys, so if you want more of Casey and the album, you have to pick it up. Vineyard Soul, and that is Generous God. We talk about the generosity of God's love and how it's so tangible. So, friends, we ask if anything that you've gotten from this broadcast today, whether if you download Casey's album, check out the free membership pass that we're putting in the link right there for WTTU.co. If anything is coming good out of this time that we had together, you need to share this with a friend. So hit the share button, the like button, share it on Facebook, Instagram. Those that need to hear God's message or encouragement, reminders of his love, his closeness, his ability to help, even in the darkest times and even in the moments that seem the most dire that maybe you cannot see out of. This is the reason why God gave us song. When you look back through the Psalms and you see the way that David taught, the way that David sang, the way he led the people through adversity and through difficulty. And it's through that is when we find the love of our Lord Jesus. We find the salvation of our God, his persistency. You can hear all that through Casey's music. And so that is the point, worship leaders and teams, worshipers out there. This is why we come together, to lead worship and to be in worship every day, not just the 1 hour a week. So we ask that you share this with a friend, and that you would, just support what's happening with Vineyard Music and also with Casey. So Casey, thank you so much for coming on, brother. Yeah, man, it was fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story, and also just the great news of seeing you and just how well you're doing. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Good to reconnect, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll be doing some more things again. So until that time, guys, be sure with us members tomorrow. We're going to be talking about our next schedule coming up for the week. So all you members, next week we got a full week of shows on Wednesday and Thursday. Don't forget we have our next webinar coming up and our next brown bag. And we're definitely going to have Casey come back for a Thursday to get that knocked out for you members. So you want to join WTTU.co, become a member today, get Casey's album as well. We'll throw some goodies your way, and members, we're also going to be throwing out some instructional videos provided by Casey and Vineyard Worship, so be on the lookout for that. So again, Casey, thanks for joining us. A pleasure, bro. All right, great. And guys, we'll see you guys back very soon. Have an awesome day. Love you. Bye.